Welcome back with Level Up Games. Rob here, interviewing tonight's Legacy Locals winner, Richard Alford. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great, doing good.
Very good. What deck did you win with tonight?
Demir Death Shadow.
Gentleman's choice indeed. Let's talk about some of the games. How did it go? What was some of the easy matches, hard matches?
Yeah, so I went up against, I'd say one of the easier matches may have been Blue-Black Ninjas. Basically, they're trying to get under you in a certain way, and my removal-heavy deck combined with top-heavy threats that just sort of wins the long game was sort of an easier way to climb out of that. Maybe one of my harder matches was Jeskai Delver. Any deck with Swords to Plowshares in it basically is sort of uphill. They can get rid of your Shadows, your Murktides, I'm doing the Troll reanimation from the new Lord of the Rings set. It's one of the few spells that cleanly answers that too, but I managed to get there 2-1, so yeah.
I say you're able to eke out a win, especially against a card like Swords to Plowshares into that Shadow, such a double-edged sword against that deck.
Yeah.
Just being able to both answer the current threat and make future ones a lot harder to achieve.
For sure.
Glad it didn't stop you there. And then I know there's a new Banned Restricted announcement coming out. I know I talked with a lot of people here throughout the interviews about things they'd like to see banned or unbanned. I was curious to your thoughts. Are you expecting anything to get banned or unbanned, or do you want anything particular to maybe see its way out or come back in?
Yeah, even though it could affect many formats, the one that I kind of give the most thought to would be Modern, and ultimately, I don't like the One Ring and how ubiquitous it is in the format. However, I still feel like Orcish Bowmasters and metagame shifts can still, maybe given a little bit of time, we can see whether it will course correct or not. So I don't, and that's really the only thing that I'm thinking on as far as bans. I wouldn't be surprised if something like the Ring were to go. Just about half of all decks in the Pro Tour were playing it. It's usually not a good sign, but we'll see. I'm not really sure what'll happen on that front. For unbans, it's funny, I made a chart on Facebook recently, like detailing like the likelihood versus unlikelihood of bans versus unbans, unbans just for fun. The only card where I'm certain I'm like, why is this still banned is Umezawa's Jite. I know that like it hates on creature strategies, gains you life, it does a lot of stuff, but you have to invest 4 mana to get it on, and by that point you're probably dead on turn 2 to a Primeval Titan or a Burn or a Living End or a lot of other things. So I feel like that could stand to come off for Modern. For Legacy, I'm not really sure. I'm new to the format, actually. Only the last 2 months or so getting into Shadow. Before Bowmasters even came out, funnily enough, I'm like, I'm going to play Shadow, and then Bowmasters is released, and I'm like, oh, I maybe just bought into the best Bowmasters deck in the whole format, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
Well, glad to hear that your entry to Legacy is going relatively well. As far as your thoughts on the DNR, basically, I'm kind of with you. I think Wizards is probably going to stray away from banning the One Ring just because it's new. They kind of did that treatment when Ogak was basically a menace in Modern Horizons 1. They try to address a lot of different things in the format leading up to it, and I have a feeling they might do the same. I know one ban that I talked about with some of the other folks is Renin 6, just how that card's kind of pushed the whole 4-color piles effectively that have been pretty dominant in its entire history of the decks. They already hit out Yorion and still hasn't stopped that deck one bit and still performing relatively well, but you never know. Maybe the One Ring does get hit, all things considered. I definitely agree with you on the Jite unban. The Modern format's definitely a lot different compared to when that card was in legality, so it'd be nice to see it come out, especially with a lot more premium removal existing nowadays to make that card not as impactful as it probably was once made out to be. But regardless, congratulations once more on getting the victories here tonight, and thank you again for the interview.
Yeah, thank you.